thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a tutorial, but a means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own project. If you're like me and really enjoy having something on while you work, sometimes the content you like is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that's where I come in. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. It is Wednesday, the middle of the week. We're almost to the end. I hope you can make it through, and I hope that I will be pushing through as well if it is a trying time for me, but let's hope not. We are continuing to work with the sock that you saw on Monday, the one for my cousin's daughter. We are getting through here. Earlier, I mentioned that we have about an inch and a half left until we can start shaping the toe, but last video that I uploaded, we had knit a few rounds and I haven't really checked in to see how far we are yet. So let me just recount by carefully sliding this ruler into my sock to see what we see. Because, you know, that makes all the sense. See what we see. What do we have? So we have the bottom of our heel right here, and then we have the top, well, not really the top, but the bottom of the sole of the sock, but this is where our round starts, so I'm going to use this as my measuring point and give it a good look. So we are about a stitch, not counting the active stitches, we are about a stitches row below the 7-inch mark, and we need to be at 7.5 before we can start shaping our toe. So we're close, about half an inch left, and I don't know what kind of yarn this is. If you're new here, I had mentioned that this was gifted to me and I have no idea what the fiber makeup, the fiber content is, but I'm guessing it's cotton. Really guessing it's cotton just because of how it feels. No stretch at all. A little bit rough, but not like scratchy, just not as smooth and bouncy and squishy as either, you know, an acrylic that has been really worked or a fine wool. I'm not getting that from this, so I'm guessing it's a cotton. And there's one thing interesting about this sock. Well, at this point there's one thing interesting, and that is I followed the, oh yeah, I have it up here with me. The book that I'm using that Jenny, one of my subscribers, had recommended when I was complaining about how it's hard for me to find patterns that just give me what I need to know and a conversion and everything for any size. Because I see a lot of patterns and they're only made or at least described as for one size. But this book here, Getting Started Knitting Socks by Ann Budd, is like my Bible now. This is what I'm going to hold near and dear to my heart until I don't need to recall patterns anymore and I can just whip them up in my head. But inside, this is actually, did this come from a library? I got it at Better World Books, and I think it's, no, this one is not because it doesn't have any stamps in it, so it probably just came from a used bookstore, I'm not sure. But like the one I'm going off of, this is the 8 stitches per inch sock pattern, and it's just super fine fingering weight, and it goes through and it tells you, you know, if you're using any kind of, if you're knitting for any shoe size, then do this or this or this. This is when you shape the toe, this is when you turn the heel, all that. And then it even goes into like stitches per inch, 7 superfine, or number 1 superfine, or 2 fingering or sport weight. It tells you that. 6 stitches per inch. It goes through 5 stitches per inch, and it even goes up to 4 stitches, so bulky or chunky weight yarn. And it's like, huh. And it talks about other things too, and how to knit, and use striping, different pattern incorporation, what kind of fiber does what, how to knit with DPNs versus circulars versus magic loop, all that good stuff. But I'm just looking at how do I knit for any person size sock, just a plain vanilla sock, no bells and whistles, and so glad. So thank you, Jenny, if you're watching this. I don't know if I could say thank you enough for talking about this book, because as soon as you said it, I had it in my wish list at Amazon, and I wanted to buy from a better cause. So I went to Better World Books and looked at the same title and found it, and was like, I need to add this to my cart right now. So I'm glad I was able to purchase it and keep it with me. But it is here, and I'm using it as my reference. And one thing that the pattern book mentioned is that when you're picking up your stitches along the heel flap, that you should make a new stitch to eliminate the hole that you get from picking up. But you might not be able to see, but my finger is poking through the hole in the spot where I made another stitch. And the same goes for the other side. It's not as prominent, but there's a hole on the left, right side of the instep, depending on how you're looking at it. And I was like, I was supposed to make the stitch to avoid this, and now I have an even bigger hole than I usually do when I don't make up a new stitch along the heel flap when I'm picking those up. So I think next time I do this on the other sock, I'm going to make a stitch but like a row down and see if that helps. I don't know why it did that. But thankfully, because I have plenty of yarn, once I'm done with this, I'm going to get a little bit of scrap in the same color as where the hole is, and just like tighten it up on the inside a little bit so it's not as obvious that there's a big hole right there. So we'll see. So yeah, there'll be a little bit of tidying up to do with this sock when I'm done with it, but I'm making progress. I think I'll be able to cast on the second sock today, later on. I'm supposed to be going on a walk very soon with my partner, and depending on how long that takes, come home, have some dinner, take a shower, get my jammies, and then continue with this until it's bedtime, which I'm hoping I go to bed early tonight. Honestly, early for me is like bad late, which explains a lot of why my sleep is just out of sorts. I don't know. I have these waves where like I can go to bed at like normal human time, like 10, 11 o'clock, and then other nights I'm up until like 2 or 3, and sometimes I'm up until 4 or 5. On a night I have to be up at like 8. Well, no, my work starts at 8, so I have to be up at like 7:30. Since I work from home, I get up, get dressed and turn my computer on and then sit in front of it for several hours. But something is compelling me to continue to stay up at ungodly hours even though I'm a person who loves sleeping, and on the other side, I love staying up. So I can't win. I can't win. I've tried lots of things. I've tried turning off my electronics and just lying in bed. I've tried, reading something not very fun to try to make me bored. I have, I take a shower. Showers are usually relaxing to me, so they don't actually make me wake up unless, I have a cold shower or something that's like, whoa. I tried drinking chamomile tea, warm water, milk. I used to take melatonin every now and then, so maybe I'll start doing that. It's just something about winding down. I feel like it's part of something ingrained in my childhood where I felt like sleeping meant I was missing out on things. But I also wasn't a morning person, so it took a lot to rouse me, to get me awake in the morning, because I just was never a morning person. Though, there was one day I went to Target early in the morning because I had a work meeting and I had to pick up something for it and do a little shopping because it was like the one chance I had to do both, and I was one of the very few people in there, and this was before the pandemic, and I was like, oh, it's nice. It's quiet. There's no line. There's no waiting. There's no screaming children. There's no person in the middle of the aisle just talking on their phone in the way. It was nice. And I could see why people, did their shopping in the morning. But I would usually go in the evening, like close to closing, because then I figured there wouldn't be anybody in there. I mean, not as a person who used to work in like a retail setting, I understand how annoying it is when people come in right before the end. Even now where I work, like if somebody needs help and it's like right before the end of the day and you're like, oh, when we close, right? And they show up and you're like, okay. I definitely come before that part because I understand what that's like. But I try to go in the evenings because then that means most people who had did their thing like right after work are already gone and home. So then I like come home, do my thing, and then go out, and then I hopefully catch the empty part after the people who tried to run their errands right after work. So not like late, but not right at the start of the rush either. So, but no, it's something about missing out on things. Like even when I was in the car when I was a kid, I wouldn't want to sleep because one, I was paranoid that if I was asleep, then we'd get in an accident and I couldn't have been the one to be like, hey, watch out for that deer or something, which is just weird paranoia. Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's not. Something happened. Now I'm recalling the thing. A long time ago, my mom had a boyfriend. They were pretty serious. They were in a long-term relationship because we were at his house a lot. He was at our house a lot. He'd buy us stuff. He would just like buy us toys all the time because what do you do when you're dating a lady who has 2 kids? You buy their kids stuff because you want to, make everybody happy. But there was one time we were driving, or he was driving, and we were in his truck or something. I think this was before a lot of like safety regulations were intact, but I was in the middle, and my mom was on, the passenger side, and her boyfriend was driving, and something happened, and I was asleep, and then I heard her yell his name, and I looked, and like right as I was looking, we were almost like headed for a tree trunk, and it was late at night, but you could see like the headlights on a tree trunk, and it was like a T street, I guess, because we, when she yelled his name, then he instantly turned to the left, and I was just like, what the heck just happened? Like, I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I was just like asleep, and then I hear the name, I wake up because my mom's screaming, and was like, tree trunk, poof. I was just like, okay, guess I'm not sleeping anymore. Now that I'm older, I have been a little more lax, but when I was a kid, after that, I was just like, not taking a nap. Now, sometimes, of course, you can't avoid it and you just fall asleep, but for the most part, I would try to stay awake as long as I could because I didn't want anything like that to happen again, so... Strange how, you forget about that kind of stuff, and then you have one little thing that sparks your memory, and you're like, holy cow, okay, I see why I had that I see why I suppressed that memory for so long. Like, what? I don't even know if I told anybody about that. It's so strange. But, yeah, that happened. But yeah, for the most part, I just like to stay up late. Feel like I'm missing out if I'm asleep, I guess. But at the same time, it's like I'm not doing anything. I'm not at a party. I've never been out at a party. I've been up late with my friends, but we're not all that exciting. As I mentioned at another story earlier, how like my partner and I and a couple of our friends would just be at our friend's apartment, and we would walk to the store late at night because it was open 24 hours, and we'd just buy junk food to eat at their house and watch movies. And that was like the most exciting thing, was just staying up late, going to restaurants that happen to be open still, and eating food. And it's probably why all of us are really fat. Especially the one who lived in the apartment. But yeah, we were not all that adventurous. But yeah, I need to figure out how to sleep like normal people. And it's not like I can't function or anything. It's just sometimes you feel it on certain days, and then other days it's not so bad. But then it's like the weekend where I wake up really late in the day and half the day or more is gone, and then I end up staying up late, and then sleeping in again, and then have to get back into a schedule for the work week, which doesn't always pan out. And it's just all over the place. And it's not good for me. I know it's not good for my health, because I heard that if you don't sleep enough, then like your body can't like do its whole system restart and get back in alignment or whatever. And if you're not sleeping, then your cortisol's up because you're all stressed and things, and but I just like being up. I don't know. It's not like I can't go to sleep. Like, if I try hard enough, I can sleep. It's just I don't want to. And that's probably why I am always filming like way late in the day. So, let's see, can we make it through the end of this round before the end of the video? I don't know. We'll try. I keep coming to the end like halfway through the end step or somewhere close to the end step, and I hardly ever finish a video at the end of the round, so maybe we'll make it through. But yes, let me know in the comments, I know some of you have mentioned before that you are early birds, but are there any other night owls out there? Are there any people who can sleep with just a little few hours of sleep, or do you need a full, 8 to 10? Are you more of like a 5 to 6 hour sleeper? How do you get your sleep in? Is it easy for you to go to sleep? Do you, as soon as you hit the pillow, are you out? Does it take you a while to unwind? I used to be like, well, I still kind of am. I would call like a horse, where not that I can sleep standing up, but if I want to, I can make any place a good place to sleep. If I'm cold, if I'm hot, if I'm stuck on a bus, if I am, sandwiched between two people on the subway, it doesn't matter where I am. I will find a place, I will find a way to get comfy and go to sleep if I need to. But as far as when I sleep, that's the question. That is where I have the struggle. But it was nice to be off. The weekend that I'm filming this, I was off on Friday. So I actually woke up early-ish, like around 10, but that was because I had an Instacart delivery of some groceries and wanted to make sure they came early enough so that when I was ready to eat my snacks, I didn't have to wait too late in the evening. So I had to kind of power through that one, but it was okay. I ended up being fine. Okay, we've made it just about to the end of our round here. One stitch and then one more just to secure my stitch marker. So knitting one stitch isn't gonna hurt what we're working on right now. But yeah, getting a little bit longer each and every time you see it. So hopefully by next week we will have the other sock going. But with that, thank you so much for watching again and listening to me ramble on. I'm sure you enjoy the stories, which is why you're here, I would think. But yeah, we will see you on Friday with another episode. Bye!